Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. Super excited. We got two guests tonight. Very excited to welcome Doris and Dawn. We're in Michigan tonight. Guys, how are we? Welcome to Let's Get Freaky podcast.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us.
us.
So you guys, you're from the Ghost Whisperers paranormal team.
Yes.
Where does it start for you guys? If we can get an introduction from both of you, if that's cool, and then we'll get into the freaky stuff.
Go ahead, Dawn.
We formed our team off of an old team. Our owner of our team was actually leaving the state, and we all said, let's just make our team ours. And we changed the name, so we're basically the same team members, but we've been doing this for almost 3 years under the Ghost Whisperer name. We have 7 members on our team. We actually investigate mostly out of Michigan. We're known as a traveling team, so we're always going state to state. And we try to keep up going about once a month to different locations. I personally have been doing it for 7 years, but some members of our team's been doing it longer or less. But yeah, we love working together. I know a lot of teams just say that, but we actually hang out outside of the team. We go and do
awesome.
things together.
Yeah, you don't secretly hate each other.
No, not at all.
We're so
That's
outspoken with each other. We would just say, "Hey, I'm pissed at you today,"
Yeah.
and then we say,
Yeah.
"Okay, we're over it. We're all friends again."
Is it more like a family, would you say?
Yes.
Definitely.
That's awesome. So where does it start for you guys? What got you into the paranormal, and where does it start? What sort of experiences have you guys had?
You want to go
Well,
first?
okay, sorry. I probably started when I was young, and I was at that point hearing things. And of course, you can't tell anybody you're hearing spirits because they'll put you in a Looney Tune. And then I got into nursing, and it was amazing that every time I walked into the morgue, there was a party going on. I mean, not really, but in my head, I heard people talking and saying things. Um, and then I kind of like pulled away because I'm like, okay, this is too much. Um, I've been doing it probably investigating wise for 15 years.
Okay. When you say pulled away, was that sort of you felt like you was opening up to the paranormal and you stopped that?
Yes, exactly. Because at that point, I don't think I was ready to start telling people. And at that point, I had no idea that there were actually groups out there that did investigations. And of course, you can't share this crazy stuff with anybody unless they're just as crazy as I am and hear and see things. And so, yeah, so I was like not telling too many people.
Yeah, well, when you tell people about this sort of stuff and if they've not experienced anything, you get that look like, okay, yeah, I've had that look
Have you
many
taken your
times.
medicine today?
Yeah.
No.
Have you been drinking? Was you drinking? No. So I get it. And then you meet someone that's into it as well, and it's like, let's talk about it. And that's why I do this podcast, really, because I love talking about it. I can
We
listen to.
I had somebody today telling my daughter, because she's also on our team, that they said your mom is just getting you into demonic things. So I
I
think
read
it's
that.
easier for people to say it's demonic, the people that are really religious, because people don't understand what we're doing. So they assume, but we really do like teaching and educating and making people aware that the spirit world is not to be afraid of. I mean, once you understand it, I think the fear goes away.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think there is a negative side though? I talk to a lot of people that
Oh, yeah.
have negative experiences, and I've had scary experiences like that are very scary. And so you think there's a negative side to this, a dangerous side to investigating as well?
Oh, absolutely, there is. I personally have never came encounter with a demonic entity, but I've came encounter with mean spirits like assholes. So I tell everybody on my team, if you were a jerk in life, you're going to die and your spirit's still going to be that same jerk.
Mhm.
You don't just change because you die. You don't become an angel.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a big misconception.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're,
But I mean, we've came in contact with some pretty a-hole spirits. I mean, Doris has came encounter with more evil ones than I have in the past.
oh, wow.
And hers where she's seen people where we're going this weekend for National Ghost Hunting Day. She was on a different team and she watched her teammate physically get lifted and thrown against a wall.
If
Whoa.
I did not see that, I would be like, yeah, okay. Whatever it was, I have been pushed there. I have been scratched several times and I was scratched really bad. And the girl, well, my team was a psychic. So we walked out and we were standing out there and she's looking at my arm. She's like, oh my God, you are really bad. And she said something in her head said to turn because she was literally facing the back of the staircase and she would have flown over the back. And as she turned, I mean, it wasn't like a whole throw across, but I mean, she got lifted off her feet and probably pushed back 3 feet.
Wow.
And I just stood there like, I can't believe that that just happened. I've never seen that before in my life, nor have I seen it since.
Yeah. Was she okay?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was a little freaked out and left there and wouldn't go back. And I don't know why I'm
Wow.
going back, but my
Yeah, I
team
was
wants
gonna
to.
say you're going back, man.
She's so nervous
Yeah,
I am.
I bet, you know.
because she knows that we're going to be like secretly wanting that whole thing to happen again. And
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not want to see it? I mean, you don't want to see it happen to poor Doris, but
Yeah.
I would still
And
like
if
it.
it does, they're gonna laugh.
Wow.
But you always strive for those big paranormal moments, and hopefully you got your video recorder
Mhm.
on record.
Yeah. Do you guys record everything? Is everything recorded?
Yeah. And we go live almost the whole time we're there too. So
Mhm.
we're recording, we're going live. We capture a lot of evidence and it's fun for our viewers to get to see it live. I mean, they've gotten to see a lot of great stuff and it helps show them what we're doing and show them that it's not like it's on TV. I mean,
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Dawn
think
had
that's
a
another conception too.
I hear
Dawn
that a lot.
had a pretty bad experience one time with an evil spirit. If you want to share that story, because that's pretty fascinating.
Well, you can tell it
No, go
because
ahead.
you were right there with me. All I know is I looked at Doris and said, what did I say exactly?
Like,
Are you
what?
going to get out the effing holy water? And I was
Well,
like, why
yeah.
did I say that? And I was like, oh my God, Doris, I would never say that to you. And I just felt so angry and I looked at her. So we took a picture of me right after, and my face was morphed. You could tell that my facial features were all changed. It wasn't me. So Doris came and put holy water on my face, which burned into my skin, and we got video and photo of that. And it was
She's
during
got a
our live.
burnt cross on her forehead.
And that was during our live.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had some wild experiences, and
So at that time, did you feel something come over you, or was it just you didn't know what was happening?
I felt like I was me, but I wasn't saying my words. Because after they came out, I was like, why did I say that? Like, I knew that it was
Wow.
me saying it, and it shook me up, and I was like shaking like a leaf after. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
And
the
you
Catholic girl that has the holy water and the rosaries. And so when something is bad, they're like, hey, can you come over? Let them attack you. You're Catholic.
wow. And you said this physically changed your face as well.
Yes, my eyebrows, my eye sockets, the cheekbone structure. So like my look was altered.
It
Wow.
was pretty evil looking.
Yeah.
The
That's
expressions she had on her
wild.
face.
That does sound demonic.
I know. Well, I never got to like dive deeper into that. I think it was a spirit moving through me, trying
Hmm.
to talk. There was a real a-hole spirit there, and he was always trying to do things to us or show off and show what he could do. And I think it was like coming in me, trying to use me. And I
Hmm.
swear I have no psychic ability. And I tell everybody that all the time. I'm like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I think it was, I always go everywhere unprotected. And I'm like, oh, my daughter's standing there with the sage when we get home. So
Yeah.
she's like, no, you can't come in yet.
Wow. Did you
That was
feel?
the sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
No,
No, go
you go.
ahead.
You go.
That was the same place that has called Dawn's name in Dawn's voice several
Yeah.
times when we were there. And actually, it was Ron, Dawn, and I were there, and we had our air mattresses, and we all kind of slept in the same room. And I thought I heard Dawn say Ron, and I'm like, okay, he didn't respond. So the second time I hear Ron in Dawn's voice, and I look over at Ron, and Ron kind of goes, what? And then a couple minutes later, Ron, and I looked at Dawn like, we're trying to sleep. And she was sound asleep. It's like I
Oh,
woke her up and said,
And I
were you
was
talking?
facing Doris. I'm like, I didn't say nothing. I'm looking at you because we're in the same bed. And she was like, you are facing me. And I'm like, well, that wasn't me. And she's like, no, that wasn't you.
That
But
freaks Ron out.
yeah,
that is freaky, man. When you're staying at these places, especially if you're like sleeping there, can you relax? Because I find it very scary sleeping in a. I've stayed in haunted hotels and stuff like that, and I find it very scary. And I feel like you can't have a proper night's sleep.
you don't. It's usually when you lay down. I know at places we go to, one of them being the Beale Manor, they have a lot of little children spirits. So as soon as you lay
Oh,
down, it's like they're grabbing your feet. They'll grab the blankets and tug, or grab your feet, or jiggle the closet door handle, like play with whatever equipment you have around you. I had REM pods in there and they went off all night. And I'm like, we got to turn these off. Like, we're not getting no sleep. But I, by 5:30 in the morning, you're just absolutely exhausted and you're ready to get that couple hour nap in. And
yeah,
they're
yeah.
wanting to still play. And sometimes that's even when they're more amped up, is when you let your guard down to go to sleep.
Man, I don't know what it is about like children's spirits. Really scares me. It's very freaky.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a house that was taken over by the state of Ohio, and it was made for unwanted mentally and physically handicapped children. So they would all go there, but the owners were very caring. They would take in babies even and foster them until they were adopted. But we do know that some of the kids there, we don't know if it was suicide or murder. So there are some tormented souls that still live there. And there's previous owners from before it was even a children's place. There was the previous owners that just still haunt. And one of our presidents of the United States are buried kitty corner from this place. So we went over there and did a live session, and we got the president's fourth son to come through on our live on our ghost box. It was absolutely incredible.
wow.
Yeah.
What
So I
We
president
didn't
was
even
it?
know it was until the owner said, you said, I don't remember the
President
name,
Hayes.
but the son, and when the owner said to us, you, whatever the name was, he goes, do you know who that is? And we're like, no, we just thought it was somebody passing by talking to us. And he told us it was the son, the fourth son.
Wow.
It was President Hayes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, man. I don't,
Yeah.
when I'm staying in a haunted place and like, or even in my house now, sometimes because I have weird stuff happen where I am now. If I'm trying to sleep and it's dark and I start seeing it get a little bit light, I'm like, that's when I can sort of relax. And then I can go to sleep. I don't like the dark. I've never liked the dark, man.
There's been a few
Ah,
times that we've been afraid to go to bed at night. I mean, there's been times where I didn't sleep at all at locations because I was genuinely afraid. One of them was called the Monroe House. I didn't sleep at all there. They nicknamed that the Demon House, where there is something very evil that lurks there too. So
you know what that is?
crazy. That is in Hartford, Indiana.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you know what the entity is that is not nice?
I don't. As soon as we started talking to it, it was all the people on our team. It was my first team that I ever was a part of. We all just got so angry at each other inside of this blue room. I mean, we were at each other's throats, and then on the ghost box something, and you could hear it in its voice talking to us, and we were like, what the hell? So we got out of that room. I was like, should we read one of these Bibles, because they keep a Bible open in there, and highlighted the verse for us to read. I'm like, should we read this? Or everybody's like, no, just get the hell out of here. So we got out of that room, and they were all wanting to go to bed that night, and I'm like, I can't freaking sleep. I'm scared to death here.
Yeah.
But I've been back since and had no activity. Like very little, nothing evil or malevolent.
Man, you guys are brave staying at these locations as well, like sleeping there.
Yes.
Ah.
Dawn's my bed partner.
We try not to go anywhere we can't stay the night.
Okay. Man, braver than me, guys. That is for sure. Wow. Doris, going back to when you was a nurse and you said
Yes.
you was hearing voices. I find it very interesting. I've talked to quite a few nurses
Mhm.
that have experienced seeing stuff. You know, obviously you're dealing with a lot of traumatic events and seeing people pass and things like that. And was that something you was very aware of when you was working, that you was
At
experiencing this
first,
sort of thing?
yes, before I had literally closed myself down or tried to close them, yes. Um, I had seen shadows coming around the corners. I would hear voices, but I could never make out what they were saying. Um, and then there were times that you would be there and sitting at the nurse's station and a chart would fall off. And that was before computers, so the chart would fall off and it's like nobody was there, nobody was touching it. And of course, you know, the nurses and I were like looking at each other like maybe it was sat on the wrong place. And so we picked it up and we're trying to move it around. Well, no. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to tell you what I think it is. You're going to think I'm crazy.
There's something scary. Obviously, hospitals, there's a lot of sadness there. A lot of sad things happen, and there's something to that energy. Obviously, man. You said you went into rooms as well, and you could hear like a party was going off. What do you think that was?
I'm sorry, you're talking to me?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
You could hear like there was a party going on, and
Yeah, well, I kind of use that term loosely. When I go into the morgue, when we'd have to take a patient down to the morgue, because what we had was not the slab ones, we had a big freezer that opened up
Mhm.
and you kind of pushed the body in there. And again, it was like all these chatting going on, could not make out what they were saying. But I could tell that it was male and female voices that we were hearing.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and then when we left the morgue, I was the one that probably ran out the most because I always felt like there was somebody lurking around the corner looking at me. Not necessarily the person I pushed down, but somebody else that was there is like, hey, she might know I'm here. And I'm like, oh no, no, I want to go. So
Yeah. Wow. I know you said you saw shadows and stuff like that. Did you see any apparitions or anything like that?
I did not. Not at all. Actually, Dawn and I were at a place where the children are at Beale, and her and Ron were upstairs, and I was just kind of setting up equipment. And I said, "Hey, you know, if anybody wants to play, come play with the equipment. And so they started playing with it. And next thing you know, everything was going off. Everything.
Oh, we lost her. Oh,
Oh,
no.
she froze.
Oh, we're one down. Oh, she's back. She's back.
Well, I
We're
told a
okay.
great story.
We're okay. You got to start from the beginning if that's okay. We lost you there. Technology.
Yeah, anyway, Dawn and I and Ron were there and we had equipment. The equipment was going crazy. Equipment stopped going crazy. The camera catches a figure peeking out and then backing up. And then another one that literally walks in front of the camera. So we actually caught that on video also.
The owner
Wow.
was excited and he actually tells different teams about it. He was like, just the other day, I watched a video on YouTube where Carlo, the owner, said, "Hey, my friends were here and they actually caught two shadow figures down here in this room." And the people are like, "That is incredible." But I mean, we've watched a baby doll's arm that I brought from
Yeah.
a local antique store. Doris and myself,
again.
we watched the arm go up on this doll and we were like, whoa. And every time we go there, the doll's always so active for us and the activity is just always great.
Wow. That's cool. Do you put all your videos on YouTube? Where can people find your videos?
We put a lot of them on TikTok. I clip them or I put them on our Instagram page. It's just easier for the thumbnails to find these. I do have a YouTube with a lot of our older clips from investigations on there too. I just got to update those because there's so, I mean, this year we have done so many, more than once a month. We were going to places several times a month. So, I mean, this year we had a great year and we still got a few months left.
Yeah.
We got 3 more investigations.
And we got the spooky season now. So it's,
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Doris, going back to when you was a nurse, I'm interested to
Yes.
know this as well. So did you see people pass and stuff like that?
Yes.
Did you ever experience them sort of as they were passing, seeing family members or seeing something there that you couldn't see and stuff like that?
One thing, actually, it was not even a patient at the hospital. It was my husband's grandmother. And I was there with her and my husband went out to call his father because he was watching our kids. And all of a sudden it was like, it's the best way I can describe it. Do you know Bewitched, that TV show Bewitched, where she kind of wiggles her nose?
Mm-hmm.
She was laying there and all of a sudden she wiggled her nose and this smoke, for the better choice of words, came out of her nose and went up into the ceiling. And at that point I checked her pulse because I'm like, okay. And she was flatlined.
Wow.
So that's probably the only thing I've really actually saw. But I've had many patients who say they had, they passed away, you bring them back and they can tell you what you were doing, where, but I went back to school and got a PhD in metaphysical science and it's an emphasis on parapsychology. And they talk about how
Wow.
the brain and the mind are separate. So when you die, your brain dies, but the mind doesn't. The mind's still able to process. And so when they
Okay.
come back, they're processing what happened to them when they were dead.
Wow. Yeah, because I've talked to a lot of people that have had the near death or the death experiences, going to the other side, coming back, and it's always a very similar story. They're experiencing similar stuff, and they always say like it's like the most amazing thing they've experienced. And wow,
Yeah, a lot
that's
of them don't
wild.
want to come back, but then they
Yeah,
realize
that's
here whenever they come back. Yeah.
yeah.
Or a family member tells them, you can't stay here now, you got to go.
Yeah. My brother, I'm not sure if it was someone he worked with or someone that was working with him for a day or whatever it was, but he met this guy that I think he was in a bad car crash and he passed away at the scene, but they got him back And he was telling my brother about this, and he was like, I saw where we go next. And he was like, never worry about dying. This is what his words were to my brother. He's still alive now. And, you know, he's only a young guy as well. It's very interesting. That is very interesting.
Doris, did you ever have people that when they were dying say, I see my family standing there?
Yep. But a lot of times actually they would see a loved one that would be in the door or by their bed, and the patient would be oriented enough because sometimes it's usually several hours or maybe even a day before they pass away. But they actually will get agitated. It's like, you didn't see Mary standing there? And of course, at that point, you just said, oh yes, you know, she looks beautiful. And that kind of calmed them down. And I think that actually gave them permission that they could go.
Yeah. Wow. That's the smoke you saw coming out of you. You said it was your mother-in-law, sorry.
It was my husband's grandmother, so my
Okay.
grandmother-in-law.
Yeah, okay. What do you think that was?
I think it was probably her spirit leaving, would probably be my
Yeah.
best thought of it. And I've never seen, in all the years in nursing, I've never seen that happen. And I've been there when patients have passed.
Mhm.
But it was like, as I said, she kind of wiggled her nose, and then this white smoke, for better choice of words, came out of her nose and went up.
Wow. Wow, man. That's a cool thing to see. I mean, obviously not cool with what's happening and
Right,
stuff.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah,
it was
It would
amazing.
be cool for
yeah. It's
average
obviously,
investigator.
yeah, I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Wow. So Doris, growing up, did you have paranormal experiences?
I did. I would hear people talking. We had lived in a house that a man had died on the landing, and every once in a while I would catch him out of the corner of my eye, but he was not the friendliest guy. I don't really know a lot because I made it a point to kind of like back up, and like as a child, you're like, if I don't see him, maybe he won't see me and he won't know. So yeah, I did have that. And then, as I said, as I got older, of course, I never told anybody as a child. And as I got older and I started feeling more and more, then I'm like, okay, cut this off
Oh, you're breaking up.
Oh, you gone again.
because everybody will think I'm crazy. And
You're breaking up, Doris.
We're losing you again, Doris. Ah, it's crashed again.
She didn't know.
Don't. Oh, you're back. You're back. You're back. We lost you again. They're playing with us today.
is it just me that we keep losing?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
Well,
just every now and again it freezes. I don't know. It's not happening
Oh.
constantly. It's just
It's raining here in
yeah.
Michigan.
That's probably what it is. Technology, man.
Yeah.
yeah, it looks
So you,
like I have good connection, but
so you saw this. You saw this figure in your house. This man.
yes,
Did
several
you?
times.
Wow.
But
So
he
was that?
wasn't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. You go. Sorry.
He wasn't like an apparition though. He was more like a shadow person, I guess, for a better choice of words.
Mhm.
But I feel like the more he realized that I was afraid of him, he kind of backed off also, because I think he realized that, hey, I'm a little kid. I was probably 11 at the time. And so he did back off. But my parents would yell at me because I was an only child for saying, did you move this or did you do that? And I'm like, no. Well, you had to because you were the only one in the house. And I could almost sometimes hear like a giggle in the background. Like, he did it and he knew I was going to get in trouble for it. So it was kind of like a ha ha.
Oh man, that's not cool.
So now when Dawn and I go to places, I don't want to know anything about it. So we walk in and I am like, okay, this is what I feel. This is what I see. And she'll say yes or no. So she's really helping me slowly bring it out because I really pushed it back because I was kind of afraid
Yeah.
to pull it out.
I told her, no, use it. Like, sharpen your skills up on our team. I'll do all the research on the place. I'll know what is what, and then when you feel something or have something talking to you, I can verify it. Yes, this is something we wrote down. I wrote it down here, or no, I didn't get that in my research. But she
Oh, that
has,
is that
she
me
is,
again? Is it-
she has gotten
Everybody's
really good.
frozen but me.
Oh no,
Oh,
we're all good. Can you hear
we can
us?
hear you.
Keep frozen up, sorry.
Can
I'm
you hear
sorry.
us? We're
Yes,
back.
I keep freezing. I don't know why.
It's okay. So you go in, Doris, you go into investigations, you don't know much about the location you're in, and
Correct.
you'll give off the information that you're getting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Dawn can probably tell you how accurate I am more than I can, because I just kind of like spit it out and she will say yes or no, but by the time I'm spitting it out, I'm feeling other things and stuff. So I think Dawn would answer that better.
I always tell her she's like 95% accurate when we go to locations. Doris is usually in tune, and that 5-10% could be because it's something I don't know that I haven't got to find in my research, but it could still be true. But nobody is ever at that 100, but Doris is pretty close. She's very
Wow.
good at what she does.
So how do you get the information, Doris? Is it just like unknowing?
It just pops in my head. Like I'll walk into a room and, okay, the Beale house, which apparently the mother-in-law passed away, and Dawn was talking to the owner. So I was in another room and I walked
Mhm.
in and she said, "Oh, the mother-in-law passed here." And then the name just popped in my head and I went, "Mary?" And Dawn's like, "How did you know that?" So things will just like show up and pop in my head.
Wow.
Kind of like when you're talking to yourself, that's kind of what people are really going to think I'm crazy when they watch this.
No, not at all. Not on this show, they won't. Wow. I get what you're saying about that. It's scary, this stuff. I think I could open myself up more. I've had quite a lot of experiences. I never used to think I was someone that had a lot of experience, but talking about it, and I have had quite a lot of experiences. And since doing the podcast, I've had quite a lot of experiences. And
Mhm.
I do think I could open myself more, but I am scared. So as you say, try to shut it off. And I love talking about it. I love talking to guys like you that are out investigating, experiencing it. I don't really want it in my house, even though I do have stuff happening in my house, but it does scare me.
Well, Dawn's got Ron opening up more, and he was telling me that he's slowly, getting into his feel of hearing and dealing. But I also told him, I said, you can open yourself up, but you have to learn to protect yourself also, because the more you become open, the more things are able to come in. And so I always
And
protect
it's
myself by the love and light of Christ, and, do my little ritual and bubble myself so
Mhm.
nothing does come through that I don't want to come through.
Do you see things as well as hearing and knowing?
At times, yes. Not always, but yes, at times I do.
Can you explain to us like what that process is and how you see it?
When I was on another team, we were doing a home investigation and we were all sitting in a room, and all of a sudden I saw this little girl in a long white nightgown with long blonde hair run by the door. And of course I got up and I ran towards the door, and my team was like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Nobody saw that little girl?" And they're like, "No." And the owner was there and I said, "You told me that your daughter played with someone." And I described the little girl and she literally turned white. She goes, "That's exactly how my daughter describes her." So, but she just
Wow.
vanished. When I got up and ran in the hallway, she was gone.
Wow.
that.
That's wild. And the daughter sees her the same way. Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
The daughter, she's a little girl. So, kids are so much more in tune
Hmm.
to it. They're not afraid yet.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Dawn has lots of spirits at her house she likes to talk to.
I do.
Tell
I
us.
ha- I have a few haunted objects here at our house, and I know one doll that has something in her because I can put any of my equipment on her and she'll just light up like a Christmas tree. But yeah, we have we got a kid here that likes to play, and then I have a woman named Megan here that comes and goes as she wishes. I don't try to make her leave or stay. I think from us going to places too, sometimes we just get that hitchhiker back home with us, and it might stay for a week or so and disappear. But I mean, Doris inherited my grandmother-in-law.
Yep. Yep.
So
We were at my house and I have a room in it. My husband collects all kinds of antique stuff and we always got activity up there. And so we're up there and what was her name, Dawn? When we
Ella,
were saying,
Ella
yeah,
May.
somebody here and on the spirit box and went Ella and Dawn's like, are you related to us? And
I was
everything lit up.
actually just trying to conjure like a 20s mobster or something, you know, something cool to come through, and it ended up being our grandmother. And I'm like, what?
And she hasn't left.
Wow, is she still there now?
Yeah,
Wow,
she
that is cool.
loves it. She's cozy there. And Doris said she can stay as long as she behaves. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Wow.
It keeps coming up, your internet connection is unstable. It must be really bad outside.
Yeah, it's probably the weather. Yeah. So this haunted doll that you've got in your house, where's that from? Where is that from? And why have you got a haunted doll? Because that
So
is freaky.
I collect things from different locations that I go to, but this doll I actually, because if I know I'm going somewhere like Beale Manor and I know it's got a lot of children's spirits, I'll go to the antique stores and buy things that are from that time period to bring to them. So I'll buy like the 1960s Fisher Price toys to bring out there. Well, I found this little doll that had on red overalls and blonde hair and a little white shirt with little trucks. I'm like, oh, this is just perfect. Well, I went back to that same store and I'm like, I want my daughter to paint me one of those dolls that look spooky with, you know, the cracked face. And she was like, yeah, I can do that. So I bought one and I thought she had a cute purse. Well, I brought it home and it ended up being a holy Bible. So I'm like, oh, we can't even do her because I just feel like that's breaking the law or something. So I went back to a different thrift store. I found this little doll. I felt drawn to her and I brought her home and we did her up, and that didn't even know it was. But I mean, people don't realize when you're going to estate sales or thrift stores, if that spirit was attached to this item, they're going to want to stay with it, maybe because they don't want us to have it or they're protecting or watching. But yeah, I mean, especially dolls, they are more of a vessel for any spirits. I think they can feel like they can live through them easier. Dolls blink their eyes or move their arms easier, their heads, and it freaks Doris out. But
Yeah.
I've already posted 3 brand new dolls this week that I've gotten for the collection. She can't stand them. I bring this little Ouija board doll everywhere, and she's like, stop.
I just
get it.
imagine waking up with Dawn next to me and having one of these damn demonic dolls staring me in the face.
That's the new little doll I got.
Yeah.
She might. They are scary to the average person,
100%.
but I have this total plan. I'm going to do this spooky October season. Everybody does their elf on the shelf. I have a Lily doll and I plan on using her to the fullest. I mean, we're going to see every day what she gets into, what spooky adventures she's doing.
Wow. So I've got daughters and they've got dolls and they're like normal dolls. I think are a bit freaky anyway. Like, especially when you go in their room at night and they're all looking at you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or you
oh,
put little cat balls on them so they just
oh.
randomly immediately go off.
Yeah,
You're like,
no,
hello.
I'm not sure I could handle that.
I have a whole room that is dedicated for my spooky stuff. So
Do
I'm
you
lucky
do you
to have a
see
spare room.
things? Do you see things in your house?
Yeah, we we had an incident in this room a few times. This is my daughter's room. She had a dresser in here. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. She was sound asleep with her boyfriend, and her dresser drawer, it was on rollers, so you would have to pull it out and then lift it up to take it all the way out. Well, it pulled all the way out of the dresser and then like made a left turn to go against the door, threw it against the door, and then she was sitting at her vanity like I'm sitting at now, and a light bulb flew out and just popped up in her face, and she was like, okay, what is going on in here? But yeah, so her room is just as active as my spooky room, but we have something that walks down our hallway. You could sit in my hallway and just look at my bedroom and watch shadows going by in front of the mirror. But Doris can tell you she's investigated my house a few times too.
She's got a lot going on. But now you have to understand that Dawn, when she investigates, Dawn investigates. If
Yeah,
there is
go
a
hard.
hole that she can fit into and squeeze into, she's going in and she's going all
Yeah,
the way in. And I'm
yeah.
like, Dawn, if I can get your feet, honey, I'll pull you out. Otherwise, I love you. Bye.
They say
Wow.
you need an air tag because I'm that one that disappears from the group exploring, because I'm like, nobody's gonna go into this basement of a funeral home and crawl in this hole with me. I mean, I'm just gonna have to do it. I'm just that one that's gonna always go the extra mile to
Yeah,
just to try to get an EVP somewhere.
yeah. Wow, you're braver than me, that's for sure.
We lose her all the time. So we look for the
Yeah.
creepiest place that could be in that house. And that's usually where we find her.
Yeah. Well, if you've got haunted dolls and a room dedicated to that, then there's going to be some wild energy there. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I even have a stack of Ouija boards. I have so many that I had to buy a basket just to put them all in because I don't
Wow.
have shelf space. But
So,
I like the everything paranormal, and so I have like different alien things laying around. But I enjoy collecting things from different haunted locations. Like
mhm,
if they tell me they'll give me a piece of the wood from there, I'm gonna bring it home.
yeah, you're just creating this big portal or vortex of
Yeah.
haunted haunted objects. Have you mentioned aliens there? Have you guys seen anything in that field in with UFOs or cryptids or anything?
One time.
Let's
I,
go.
and I sent mine into MUFON. That's for the United States. Um, I seen one in Allen Park, and I took a picture of it. So I was lucky to. I didn't want to just call them and say, but I did the whole interview process with them and everything, and they put it on their site. It was just a small black craft, and it sat there for like 20 minutes still, and then it shot off. Me and my brother
Wow.
were able to see it, so we had time to stare at it. Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool that you and your
yeah,
brother both saw it as well.
yeah. But that was
Wow.
my only encounter ever. But I'm always jumping in my car if I think something is going on. I tell my daughter, let's go, and she does. We'll jump in the car. We're like go into UFO mode. I mean, Doris's husband's a meteorite hunter, so I think we all have these little hobbies that have our little extras.
Yeah. That's cool. We'll get into that in a second. But can I ask you, was it during the day that you saw this object?
Yes. Yeah, it was mid-afternoon. It was a clear blue sky. It was like in the fall. I was so excited when I seen it, and I when I came home, I showed my daughter. So she recorded it on her phone. So that's the only way I could still see the video because it was so long ago, but she's got it in her memories. And I know I called MUFON the next day. I'm like, I know people probably call you up all the time. You know, I wrote them this email and they wrote me back and asked to do a phone interview. And I'm like, I know people probably say this all the time, but I have, you know, picture and videos here if I can send it to you. And they were very excited to see it. But I
Wow.
always had an interest in aliens because I would have dreams about them as a kid. And so I've always just had that fascination.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
you
Well,
asked Dawn if she had any gifts. She does. She actually dreams, and what she dreams comes true a lot of times. So she
Yeah.
can kind
okay.
of brush that off. But yes.
I dream about people dying and it happens. And so I hate telling them a week before they die that they're going to die. But sometimes you want to know, is it really real? You got to,
Have you had that then?
yeah, twice in the last year.
Oh
Now
man.
I'm like, well, those I'll just not tell nobody no more because
Yeah,
I don't
don't
want,
tell me.
no, I won't.
So
Yeah.
you've dreamt about what the night before, and have you seen what's going to happen?
It's
Or
not even a night, it's like a week or two before. Yeah, well, they come to me in my dreams and I'm asking them, why are you here? Because you're already gone. And they're telling me what happened to them, what happened. And it freaks me out. So then I call them up, like, the first time it was my uncle, and I'm like, hey, Auntie, is Uncle good? Because I just had a premonition dream of him last night. And she knows what I'm talking about because she had the same kind of things happen and she was a witch. And she was like, nope, we're good. Everything's good. And it was a week later, he had a massive heart attack and died.
oh
And
man.
then it was 6 months later, I had a dream about my aunt, the same with him. And I was like, oh man, not her. And then she had got diagnosed with terminal cancer and died 3 weeks later. Like, it was just super rapid pace. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks, right, Doris?
I think we've lost Doris. I think Doris is gone.
Oh,
We've lost her. Oh no. Hopefully she can get back in. I
she
think,
should.
yeah.
I was
Um,
going to tell her, open your office doors, let the Wi-Fi connection come through.
that's wild though. That you've
Yeah.
had, and you say when you're seeing them in your dream, would you say it's like real? Like it feels real?
Yeah, like it's almost like you're having a regular dream of something and then they walk in on it and my attention focused to them and it was just they're standing there, they're not moving their mouths, but it's like I can hear what
Wow.
they're saying kind of thing. So it is, that's my only little thing. I guess it's really not a gift when it's really a curse like that, but it's happened quite a few times. And I'll tell certain people, like my team, I know that they're not judgy, and I'll be like, dude, I had a dream about so and so. This happened like this. It was really crazy. And they're like, well, let's just watch for a week from now. And it happens and we're like, oh my god, like we don't want it to happen, but yeah,
Yeah. And is this people that you know, or can it be like celebrities as well and stuff like that?
just people I know, really.
That's wild. Wow. I think
I
there's
mean,
a lot.
I dream about other little things, but they don't happen, like earthquakes or things like, but they don't happen. I'm like, if it doesn't happen in a week, it's probably not happening for me. I'm not seeing something way distant in the future. It's like immediate thing.
I think because I used to think dreams were just dreams. Like we have dreams, and sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good, whatever. But my opinion on that has changed so much, especially recently as well. I feel like there's so much more to our dreams. Like, I mean, obviously we don't know what it is, but it feels like I don't know. Is the paranormal whatever happens after it? A lot of people say that time is irrelevant when we pass. There, she's back. Doris is back.
Oh, okay. I
I
was
think
just
so.
reading her message. She said, I don't know what's going on.
She's back. We lost you for a second there.
No idea what happened.
Maybe open your office doors so the Wi-Fi connection can come through easier.
I'll be back.
Yeah, so what was I saying? So the where was I? I've gone blank. Yeah, so the paranormal world, like whatever it is, like
Yeah,
a lot of people say that time is like irrelevant. The time when we
right.
pass is and maybe you're I don't know, you're seeing I don't know, you're connecting with the spirit of the future. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but it's just like a little direct, it's a direct link with the person. So I'm thinking my own assumptions because it happens to me, so I can make my own theories that I'm connecting with that person, but with their future. But maybe their self is coming to tell me. I think that we know when we're going to die. And I think that our subconscious will let us tell other people, even though if we don't want to believe it, we can still, other people can read it. So that's the only thing I can get from it. I mean, I've never really had anybody tell me why, but
That's
it's
interesting though.
odd.
That's interesting that that's a great point that we might know, our subconscious might know that
Yeah.
something's going to happen. And yeah, that's very interesting.
Because we don't have a timeline when we're dead, and we know by asking spirits, and we know asking spirits about heaven, they'll say it's beautiful. But why don't they stay there if they love it so much? Why do they keep coming back? It's not like we're making them stay. I think that they have the freedom to come through. And I think, I know I want to find out why and how. Is it a portal? Is their heaven really a dream, so to say? Everybody has a different heaven. I've never really heard many people describe the same heaven. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think it's what you dream your heaven to be. So that's more a subconscious thing too. So maybe our subconscious does know to go and travel.
Yeah. And we maybe just perceive it how we want to perceive it, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. That is interesting. When we go back to the you said you had dreams about aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
What sort of dreams were they, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I know when I was a little kid, when I lived in my first haunted home, we had a residual ghost. I know now as an adult and studying, but I would have really weird dreams back then. I guess that's when it all started. I had dreams of like sitting in my living room with the aliens, but they would be in a circle around me talking, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. And that was like a repeated dream. Do I feel like I was abducted by aliens? No. Back in the 80s, we really didn't even have that many 80s TV shows, and we didn't have cable TV then. So, I mean, it was Cheers or MASH. You didn't have the alien influence that you do now.
Yeah.
So, I think it's interesting that I would dream about that as a kid still.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah.
My mind was going straight to abduction.
Abduction.
I'm sorry,
I
but
want to say I was. It would be awesome to find out I was. I do talk to another team where she has actually found form things in her body, I don't want to give her name away because privacy, but she had found one in her breast, and her doctor wanted to hurry up and get it out before it disappeared because she had another one in her body, and before they could get it out, it was gone. So it's like, why are these disappearing? And other people, you can take and cut them out so easily. And yeah, so
Yeah, I've talked to people that have had that same thing where they've got an alien thing in their body and it just disappears, whatever it is.
yeah, I mean, I find that fascinating and I love that. I actually just went to the Ancient Aliens live show over
Oh
the summer.
wow!
Me and Ron, we had the front row seats there watching this. Yeah, it's fascinating, and you know we're not alone in the universe, whether it be spirits, alien. I also think that like Bigfoot, things like that, that you don't see all the time. I think they're interdimensional, and that's they're coming through, they're leaving back through that portal. That's why we're not finding them all the time.
Mhm.
They don't just live here. They come and visit here.
Yeah, there seems
Yeah.
a lot more going on around us that we can't always see, and
Yeah.
sometimes we get a glimpse. That's what I think, anyway. Sometimes we get a
Yeah.
glimpse of it.
That's why I told
Interesting.
everybody I'm all things paranormal, not just strictly ghost, because I believe that all of this is connected and we just haven't found that. Bam, here's what it is. But I really think it's all connected.
Yeah, same. Wow, that. Sorry to go back to that dream that you was having, the alien
Yeah.
dreams, but that is very like I talk to a lot of people that abducted people that get abducted, and there seems to be a connection with like the dream state and the abductions. There seems to be a connection there a lot of the time. So it's just interesting that you had those dreams as a
Yeah.
kid before it was sort of known, as you said.
I was still in grade school, like fifth, sixth grade, when I was having the dreams, and um, but I was having the ghostly encounters every single night, and it was a lot on me. You know, as a kid, it was like scary because you were always afraid. I mean, you knew there was a ghost in your house, and you're having scary dreams about all kinds of things. But yeah, the alien dream that stuck out because it was a repetitive dream.
Yeah. Was you seeing ghosts in your house as well as a kid?
I didn't see them, but we could hear them going up the stairs every night and then walking down this little attic hallway, and it would stop in front of our door. But if you kept going straight, it was this big open attic. And me and my sister would say, "We got a gun." I mean, we're like 10 years old, but you would say whatever you want because you were living in Detroit and you knew it was a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was frightening, but it was the same time every night. So my my whole family knew it was haunted, but it was don't talk about it and it won't bother you kind of stigma. But my aunt that was a witch, she had moved in with us briefly, and she was like, "This place is haunted." She was like, "There is something up here," and that was in my room. And she was like, "Yeah, there is something going on." And to me as a kid, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God somebody else knows." But I think that's what really got my interest in the paranormal, is these experiences, and then continuing. Like I feel like every house I've lived in since, that I've had something, and it makes you wonder too, is it something that stays with you for life?
Hmm.
Like, or is it the same ghost around you all the time? I don't know.
I think for guys like us that are interested in this and we know there's more going on because we've seen it. I
Yes,
think that's why wherever we go, it's just there because the paranormal's everywhere. I don't think you can go to a house and
right.
there's nothing because I think it's everywhere. That's
I
just
do.
my thought at the moment.
Mhm. Well, we know they're all outside, and I think a lot of them, well, my house was built like in the 50s. It wasn't here before that though. And so a ghost that might have had this land as their property, maybe they were farming here. They're going to walk straight through these walls because these walls were never here before. Or they might just be a passerby because this ain't a house to them. Or
Yeah.
they could be attached to that one little object. And I want to know, does different spirits see each other to interact? Like, do they know that the other one is there from a different time period? I mean, those are questions I would love to find out.
Yeah, that's interesting because there could be like levels. I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting. Interesting stuff. Doris, what's your thoughts on, I know this is going to be a difficult question, but what is your thoughts on what is going on with the paranormal? What do you think is happening?
As far as, are you
Just to,
talking like just in general or aliens?
yeah, I
or-
know it's a loaded question, but what do you think of the paranormal in general? What do you think is going on? Do you think it's just I don't know. What do you think is happening? What's your thoughts on the paranormal?
Oh boy, that's a toughie.
I know.
Why didn't you ask Dawn?
I kind of said it.
Yeah, I feel like we got Dawn's
Oh, I
answer.
probably got froze up during that and I could have used your stuff. See, that's what happens. Um, I believe that there's spirits everywhere. I always have. Um, and as Dawn, I think I did hear Dawn say, I believe that my background, I believe that the heaven is open and that people can come and visit their loved ones and they can go back. And then there's other people that are attached and they may be able to leave, but they don't want to because you are sleeping in their bed or have their dresser or their dolls on. And so, sorry, I hate those dolls. Um, and so I believe that, there's a lot of spirits around, just a lot of people do not know. And I always tell people, if you really pay attention, you will see little things that'll let you know that they are there. You may not hear them, you may not see them, but little reminders. My mother-in-law passed. I'd walk in my house and I'd smell coffee. Well, I didn't make coffee. And so, I always knew that she was here.
Mhm. Yeah. I say I often smell both my granddads. I know that sounds weird. They both passed.
No.
And I might smell their aftershave
Mhm.
sometime. They've both had different smells. And I smell them. I know that sounds weird, but I get their smell. And yeah, so 100%.
Smells and the paranormal are a really big thing. It's one of our senses that we use, and you try to open all those senses more when you're investigating. And when you're at home, you're so relaxed because you're at home, you're
Mhm.
safe space. And I think more of the paranormal can happen that way because you're so unguarded that they can just kind of barge in on our sacred space. But
Yeah.
like smells are more clearly to us at home because of that.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Guys, I've loved talking to you both tonight. It's been absolutely awesome. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
If we can end on your freakiest experiences, you might have already told us your freakiest experiences. What's your so far in the paranormal world? What is the scariest thing that you think has happened to you guys?
Go ahead, Dawn.
Um,
You might have already told us, but
I think my body jumping was pretty intense, but um I've had a lot of really good ones. Uh I was just told happy birthday on my birthday by a ghost. I was at Madison Seminary down in Ohio. I was with Jeff Fent. He's a maker of these spirit boxes. I asked him through one of his ghost box radios today's my birthday. Can you tell me happy birthday? And it said happy birthday. But one of my
That's cool.
scariest is probably having like a growl happen right in your face. Like, you know, it's in your ear and it takes you totally off guard, like knocks you off your stool and makes you like, whoa, where is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So those get me every time.
Same question to you, Doris.
Okay, probably one of the scariest is another home investigation, because with the other team I was on, we did a lot of home investigations, and there was a lot of crazy stuff going on in this house. And I walked into the son's closet because he was being attacked and scratched during the night, and these red eyes were looking back at me. And it was almost as though it was drawing me in, and the same psychic that thrown against the wall, she saw me. I must have had like a look on my face, like I was heading in there. And she grabbed me by the shirt and she pulled me back. And I kind of like, almost like I was in a trance at that point, looking at those eyes. When she pulled me back, I went, "What?" She goes, "I see those eyes too. Get out of here." And she always,
Oh,
her explanation is the fact, because I'm pretty religious. And so she just felt that, it was a challenge for them to go up against somebody who is more religious than other people.
Wow.
mhm.
Yeah. And let's see, probably the funniest thing that's ever happened. It was Dawn and I, and
I
we,
think that was one of the more scarier moments for me. It was in that top 10 of scary, Doris.
it was hilarious. Oh, she went up to an attic. The attic, when it came downstairs, she can probably explain the lock better, because I can't explain that as well as you can.
So the lock was on the floor and the lock latch went inside of the floor to lock. So you really had to lift it out of the floor and turn it, and then turn the doorknob to open this attic door and then go upstairs. Well, we closed it all up. I'm I hate attics as it is, but I went up there just to see what was going on up here. And I closed up the attic door and everything. And I get into bed next to Doris. And we were laying there just getting where we were getting ready to fall asleep. And that door, I heard it unlatch. And then I watched the door just start opening. And I was like, "Doris!" And I rolled on top of her and pinned her arms down on the bed. And I just had her straddled on top of her. And I'm like, "What the heck?"
Like,
She's
do
Oh,
you think they're not
what
going to
is
get you? You're on top of me. You're a better grab than I am as I'm laying down like this.
I was feeling like they were going to grab my feet. And that always freaks me out. I hate when they grab my feet.
Dawn and I actually have great times at night when everybody else is sleeping, and then we decide to be crazy and silly, and we get yelled at a lot. Shut
Yeah,
up.
it's go to bed.
wow. Oh, that's awesome.
A lot
Oh,
happened though at that time.
yeah,
When you put
yeah.
your guard down.
hmm Yeah, man. So I've got one more question for you that I forgot to ask earlier when you
Okay.
were talking about the UFO. Sorry.
Okay.
I know we've
No
gone past that,
problem.
but I need to know this.
Yeah.
How big was the UFO that you saw, and what did it look like?
I can send you the picture when I'll gotta wait for my daughter to get home. It was more of the triangle shape. It was a dull black. It wasn't shiny like I would picture it to be shiny. It was more dullish to me, but it was not huge, but not small. I thought it would have been American made aircraft, one of our fighter jet things, but we don't have one that resembles this one. So that's when I was like, "Oh, I got to turn this in to move on." But
Yeah,
yeah, it was still a great little catch. That was
yeah, for
about
sure.
2015.
Okay, and you're saying that was just hovering as well?
Yeah, it was high above the grocery store here. I mean,
What, we frozen?
and
Okay, we're back on. Sorry about that.
okay.
I cut off there.
So yeah, it was about as high as an airplane height would be. but it was just hovering in place. It stayed there for about, it seemed like forever to us, and we were just filming and talking about it, getting excited, and like, why isn't it moving? If it's an airplane, doesn't it gotta like move? You know, we just couldn't understand the workings of it just hovering there, and it was exciting enough for us to be able to grab out our phones. Thank God we all have phones to be able to catch these things now. But yeah, it's one of those experiences I always hope to see again. I know we had another sighting that was not even a half mile from my house a few years before that, but I didn't see it, but I seen it on the MUFON site that it was captured right by my house. And it was another open area where, but I have a lot of city light pollution, but this was daytime, and it was just big enough to be seen, and it was pretty amazing. I hope
Awesome.
to see another.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome stuff, guys. Guys, you've had some incredible experiences, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing them tonight. Super interesting. We'll have to do it again sometime. We'll get Ron on and more members of the team if they want to come on as well. That would be
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find us at the Ghost Whispers on Facebook. You can find us on TikTok, the Ghost Whispers. Also, look me up, Dawn Martin. I post all of our videos from that. We have a few videos posted on YouTube, the Ghost Whispers, and on Instagram, the Ghost Whisperer page, and Dawn Martin. I go by my Paris stories on everything for the hashtags.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, links will be in the show description. Oh, sorry, Doris.
I didn't say a word.
Oh, that was weird. I thought you did that. Is it? Have you got any social medias that people can find you on? Or
My name, Doris Bartolomei. I'm on TikTok or Facebook, and usually I'll go live on Facebook.
Yeah.
They can always find stuff there, or if we get something really cool, I'll put it up on my Facebook.
Yeah.
And I just started putting stuff up on TikTok.
Yes.
awesome. Well, I will share your links in the show description. Guys, keep up the great work. You're welcome back
Thank you.
anytime. I'd love to
Thank
talk
you
to you
so
again.
much.
Thank
Sorry,
you
I kept
so much.
fading in and out.
No, that's okay. That's technology, man. But thank you so much, guys. Guys, if
Thank
you've
you.
enjoyed the episode, make sure you share it where you can. That's a great way to support us. We'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.